Hi, gang. TGIF, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, what a Friday poll question. What a Friday poll question. Who could inflict the most damage to the other, Musk or Trump? More on that in a moment. Thank you, Parks Casino. The weekend is here. Parks Casino is my casino of choice. They've got it all: action, excitement, headline entertainment just outside of Philadelphia in beautiful Bucks County off the Turnpike. How about this Sunday, 11:30 a.m.? Tickets still available for a 70s retro-themed sing-along brunch with vocalist Ginger Coyle in the beer garden. Wow, what a way to start your Sunday. Enjoy all-you-can-eat buffet with a complimentary brunch cocktail, all for one price, plus thousands of hot slots, state-of-the-art sports book, the beautiful poker room, the all-weather beer garden, a collection of award-winning restaurants, and all that headline entertainment coming all summer long to the Excite Center. Gary Clark Jr., comedian Mark Norman, comedian Joey Diaz, the English reggae pop band UB40, comedian Russell Peters, Australian Pink Floyd. In November, Bill Murray and his Blood Brothers. Yes, that Bill Murray for one night only, a night of blues and old-time rock and roll. Comedian Brian Regan coming. Dinner and drinks before the show. Make a night of it. ParksCasino.com. ParksCasino.com for tickets to all shows. This is how you win. You've got to be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So yesterday, the Thursday result of the Smerconish.com daily poll question. Good voting, 34,251. Should U.S. colleges reduce foreign enrollment to better preserve American social mobility and promote national unity? I loaded the question, as I explained yesterday. Really, what I'm asking is, should U.S. colleges reduce foreign enrollment? And I thought if I were to do that, it's going to be like 80-20. People are going to say no. So what I will do is I will give the benefit of the argument that says they should, and then see if that alters the outcome of what I expected it to be. Hence my inclusion, so as to preserve American social mobility and promote national unity. Did my stunt work? No, it did not. Because of the 34,251 who voted, it was still 78.66% saying no, U.S. college foreign enrollment should not be reduced. And what motivated me to discuss this and make it the poll question of the day was David Bell from Princeton, a historian from Princeton, who recently argued in a New York Times editorial piece that though Trump is taking a pretty ham-fisted approach to the policy, decreasing international student enrollment is a legitimate subject of conversation because it would engender social mobility and promote national unity. There are a lot of arguments to say maintain a robust international representation, not the least of which is an exercise of soft power. You remember Joseph Nye. But I thought that the Princeton professor made a pretty good argument, and it was worthy of conversation. Okay, today, the Friday poll question. How could it be anything other than this subject matter, the brouhaha, the Donnybrook, fill in the brawl, fill in your word, between Musk and Trump? Although I have to tell you, and this is kind of interesting, I wrote a commentary last night, got on a roll, knew that I needed to say something about Musk and Trump, not only to have my thoughts together for POTUS, but also to have something to say on CNN, depending on where the story stands. And as I finished and I sort of shut down on the media, and I was writing and smoking and relaxing, but at the end, I spoke of a prospect that there would be truce, there would be peace. And indeed, the lead story today at Smerconish.com, it is about Musk and Trump. It has to be, but it's an exclusive from Politico saying maybe it's already over. Quote, signs of a truce are emerging in the increasingly bitter clash between two of the world's most powerful men. President Donald Trump projected an air of nonchalance in an interview Thursday with Politico during a day of sparring over social media with Elon Musk. Separately, White House aides, after working to persuade the president to temper his public criticism of Musk to avoid escalation, scheduled a call Friday with the billionaire as a brokering of peace. So And Trump, by the way, in a brief telephone call with Politico, oh, it's okay. He said, it's going very well, never done before. He went on to tout his favorability ratings, yada, 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 which appeared to be a marked contrast to this ugly online feud that had taken place during the course of the day. For the benefit of those who are many of you are listening on the Daily Poll podcast, and I greet you and I thank you. For the benefit of those who are also watching on YouTube, you can always watch on YouTube. Old school yellow legal pad line down the middle. I evaluate the weaknesses. This is for my own benefit, just to keep my thinking straight, but I figured I would show it to you because this addresses the question of who could inflict the most damage to the other, Musk or Trump. And by the way, as of early this morning, when I took a look and voted myself, it's a barn burner. I hope it remains that way. It's not an 80-20 like yesterday. It's a barn burner. But they each have weaknesses. They each have areas of vulnerability. And that's what I was sketching out for myself just to make sure that I covered some of them. For example, and this is not meant to be a complete list. Pardon my sip of Wawa coffee. Let's talk about the weaknesses of Donald Trump in a feud with Elon Musk. Weaknesses of Donald Trump in no particular order. The big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill that Trump desperately wants, needs to get through the House and the Senate because a number of the campaign promises that he made relative to border security, the tax cuts, the growth of the military, dependent upon this bill. He can ill afford to lose any Republicans. It was a straight party vote. It was by a whisker that they got it through the House. The Senate will be the same. And, it used to be the Republicans spoke of fiscal prudence. And if Elon Musk continues to make the case that this is fiscally irresponsible, as he did yesterday in his tweet or his X postings, uh, maybe he could cause the failure of that bill, which would be a huge setback to Trump. Another weakness of Donald Trump in fighting with Elon Musk, the looming midterms, because that very razor thin margin that the Republicans hold in the House, I expect they're going to lose it. And one way that they would definitely lose it is if Elon Musk opened up his checkbook. Because in that thread yesterday, one of the things that he talks about is the need for anybody who votes for this bill to have opposition and to vote them out of office. A third potential weakness for Trump, I don't know that there's anything to this, but it would be huge if there were. He played dirty yesterday. Musk did with Trump and said that the reason that the Epstein file hasn't come out, and we've spoken of this, that whole Pam Bondi, release of the Epstein file was kind of reminiscent of Geraldo and the Al Capone vault, if you remember. But if there were something incriminating, not necessarily criminal, but just a bad a bad story that could be justified with evidence relative to Trump and his association with Epstein, that could be a big setback. Another Trump weakness in a fight with Musk. He's the richest man on the planet, Elon Musk. And he's shown a willingness to spend that money for political purposes. You don't want to have a well-funded opponent like that if you're the president of the United States. Okay, another consideration, a vulnerability for Trump, because I'm just going through in this battle with Musk, what are the relative weaknesses of each? Musk is a vital U.S. partner. And yesterday, when Trump said in his response to the social media, brouhaha between the two, when Trump said that he might reevaluate the Musk contracts, Musk said, well, okay, we I guess we won't be supplying the support of the Dragon capsule. Well, the only way to get to the International Space Station is via Dragon or the Soyuz vessel, which is controlled by Russia. The point being that if this fight were to continue, it could strengthen Russia's hand. And then finally, in terms of Trump's weakness in a battle with Musk, it's X. And I don't mean X the unknown. I mean that Elon Musk controls X and has, I think, like 220 million followers. What was that old expression? I can remember my father saying it, and I'll clean it up the way that he expressed it to me. You don't fight with people who buy ink by the barrel. That's what it was. You don't fight, but Dad said it more colorfully. He may have said it, you don't get in a blanking contest. Yes, frankly, he did. You don't get in a blanking contest with people who buy ink by the barrel. A dated concept because it's newspaper focused, but it holds. I mean, Musk has a platform. Musk has a platform. So those are all vulnerabilities if you're Donald Trump and you're fighting with Elon Musk. But if you're Elon Musk and you're fighting with Donald Trump, what are the vulnerabilities? Your business, Elon Musk, is in decline, right? Tesla lost, I think, 15% of its value yesterday. Progressives are not buying those cars the way they used to because of Musk's politics, and Republicans have never warmed to the EV model. Secondly, the government is a vital partner of yours. I mentioned Dragon a moment ago, and I'm talking about SpaceX. Um, it's been calculated that Musk is currently doing $38 billion worth of business with the US government, a vital partner for his business. So he's the richest man on the planet, at least on paper, but the US is arguably his biggest customer or client. Another consideration, another vulnerability if you're Elon Musk and you're fighting with Donald Trump, you are more unpopular than he is. You, Elon Musk, are more unpopular than he is. And you can ill afford to take a further hit by now fighting with the MAGA base. You will be a person without a country. You will be a person with no team. Actually, you can join my team. How's that? And then finally, a vulnerability potentially for Elon Musk, because the commentary that I wrote last night for CNN that I may deliver in part on POTUS today. I'm still mulling it over. I've got it all in front of me. But one of the things that I say is that there's an intangible about Musk. We don't know the strength of his jaw. Again, using the boxing metaphor. Donald Trump has grit. Say what you will about him. He's a street fighter. To quote the Rolling Stones, he is a street fighting man. He seems to relish the sort of things that would keep the rest of us up at night. And we don't know if Elon Musk has a glass jaw. I mean, you think about the exchanges that went back and forth between the two like they were high schoolers on a playground ranking one another. What does that do to Musk's psyche? I have no idea. I have no idea. What would it do to your psyche? I mean, I can tell you that it goes with the territory to do what I do for a living, whatever it is that I do here for a living, that there's tremendous social media blowback each and every day. If I were to look at the comments right now that are being posted on YouTube as I speak, and I'm not because I'm avoiding them, but just because I need to maintain some focus. But there's always such negativity. And when I do the CNN show on a Saturday, I mean, like TC says she's got to take a shower after she sees all that social media of vitriol that's directed at me. And for me, it makes zero impact. I find it comical because I'm aware of people who always say, I will never watch you again. And then like 3 weeks later, it's like, wait a minute. I see that handle. Didn't they promise they'd never listen again? But if you're a neophyte, and I'm not saying Elon Musk is, but I just don't know. I don't know how it could immobilize him. For some people, the venom of the social media world, when people get beer muscles because you can say anything because nobody knows who you are. You can have some fake name or fake account. For some, and this is why so often I talk about our youth and the role of technology and mental health, because it's too much for our adolescents. It's too much for our adolescents. Imagine if you're in high school and people are saying nasty shit about you and you've got to go to school the next day. I mean, remember those junior high school, now middle school years? They're tough years. So I'm just floating the idea that there's an intangible out here, which is Elon Musk and mental health and how does he deal with all of this, no matter what he's saying in social media. And I don't know the answer. I just know that Trump seems to thrive on it. The nastier the fight, the more he seems to relish it. So I love the poll question today for all of those reasons, and I hope you'll go vote. Who could inflict the most damage on the other, Musk or Trump? I've voted for Trump. I believe that Trump could inflict the most damage on more damage on Musk than vice versa. But it's a close call. Each of them has a lot to lose, and that's why I believe the Politico story that they will have a telephone call today and try and resolve their differences, because the alternative is mad, mutually assured destruction. And by the way, I don't think it's in the country's best interest either. So I want them to resolve it. I'm sure that Democrats are gleeful at the idea that these two are duking it out. But I just assume that it'd go away. Remember one thing about Donald Trump: you're never dead with Trump until you're really dead. He's very forgiving in that regard. Like he's very transactional. Everybody gets to come back into the tent. So go vote at Smerconish.com on a really interesting poll question on this Friday. Who could inflict the most damage to the other, Musk or Trump? Musk or Trump? And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Please, on YouTube, like and subscribe and set yourself up for notifications, okay? By the way, do you like my hat? Do you notice I'm matching today? I don't even remember where I got this, but it's kind of cool, isn't it? And if you know, you know. All right. See you, gang.